Hello everyone, my name is Jocelyn, and in this presentation, my group and I will be discussing how sex drives evolution. Reproduction. Reproduction is the production of offspring by a sexual or asexual process. Successful reproduction is one aspect of selection. Having different traits and behaviors doesn't help with survival, but can increase the chances of the animal having offspring. Examples of different traits and behaviors are whittlebirds with longer tails that don't get away from predators very well, but females might prefer the longer tail males as mates. Or how deers with big antlers struggle to survive but win in jousting competitions, which gets them to be able to create more offspring since females find them attractive. Sexual selection. Sexual selection is the selection that increases an individual's chance of getting a mate. It is also a subcategory of natural selection but functions in a unique way and produces non-adaptive adaptations. It involves sexually selected traits that evolve if they do more than counterbalance the male's decrease in survival with an increase in his reproduction. It also promotes the evolution of large, fierce males, which therefore leads to bigger males leaving the genes to the next generation, while the inferior males vanish little by little generation after generation. Two forms of sexual selection. Sexual selection comes in two forms, which is male-to-male direct competition, and the other is females choosing the winner. Male-to-male competition. It is competition between males for access to females. Intrasexual selection. This type of competition can also be known as intersexual selection. Intersexual selection is a selection between one sex for the reproductive access to the other sex. Male-to-male direct competition involves males within the same species to battle it out directly, and in return, the winner wins access to females by driving off competitors since they are seen as superior and stronger than the others. Sexual selection will favor any traits that will increase the chance of reproduction than traits that will help them increase the chance of survival, as long as the offsprings are reproduced at a higher rate. This type of selection then creates traits that increases a male's way of fighting to win physical matches. Males are usually seen with more elaborated weapons used in intersexual competition and ornaments used to attract females. Darwin once said, "It is certain that with almost all animals, there is a struggle between the male's possession for the female." Females choose the winner. Physical features like bright colors are displayed through the second type of sexual selection, known as mate choice. To a female's eyes, males can be differentiated through their distinct features. They focus on physical features when deciding to choose the winner. Females find more attraction with certain traits and behaviors among males, so that the genes that produce those distinct features continue to appear among the population. This can be considered as indirect competition between males, with the females choosing the victor. But in both types of sexual selections, the males compete, whether it's directly or indirectly. Attracting females. In many species, males attract females through their physical appearance or actions. An example of this are male birds that are controlling a patch of land that is suitable for nesting. Once they have their patch, males defend it with visual, vocal, and physical displays amongst any enemy that approaches their land. A sign of vocal display can be in the form of a song. Female birds are attracted to the most fittest male that can protect their nest. Post-mating. Sexual selection doesn't end with the sex act itself. Males can continue to compete even after mating. In many species, females mate with more than one male over a short period of time. Post-mating competition has produced some of the most fascinating features built in natural selection. Sometimes males hang around after mating, guarding his female against other suitors. Males use a variety of defensive weapons to guard their paternity, also known as their fatherhood role. A good amount of males have offensive weapons to get rid of the sperm from previous mating males and replace it with their own. A good example are dragonflies. Dragonflies have backwards facing hooks on their penises, which they then scoop out any sperm they find inside their partner before depositing their own. This can be categorized under the term sperm competition.
Breaking the rules. Sexual dimorphism is the differences in appearance between males and females of the same species, such as in color, shape, size, and structure. Sexual dimorphism can be seen in many monogamous species. However, appearances are deceiving. One species may appear to be monogamous, but not actually be monogamous. For example, the fairy wren of Australia. This species looks like the paragon of monogamy, but they are not. They are socially bonded to each other, and they co-defend their territory and share parental care. Yet they show sexual dimorphism. The males display a gorgeous blue and black color, while the females are a grayish color. The females mate with other males more often than they do their social mate, and the males play the same game, actively seeking extra pair mating. About 90% of all bird species are socially monogamous, but 3/4 of these species mate with individuals other than their social partner. Sexual dimorphism largely results from sexual selection. And sexual selection is a form of natural selection. Rather than favoring traits that improve an individual's chance of survival for getting food, sexual selection favors traits that improve an individual's chance of locating, attracting, and fighting for access to mate. The sexual selection theory states that the sex that displays bright plumage or antlers, performs vigorous mating, or builds elaborate structure to lure females are the ones who compete to mate with members of the other. Greater sexual dimorphism in a species are less monogamous, and this is because males compete for the female. Less sexual dimorphism in a species are more monogamous, and this is because males have no need to fight for female. So species in which males and females look similar are said to be truly monogamous. And this is seen in species such as geese. Although males are the ones who exert extra energy to mate, the roles can be reversed. The direction in behavior of sexual dimorphism is reversed in seahorses. The males, rather than the females, become pregnant and therefore invest more in childbearing than do females. In this case, females are decorated with bright colors and body ornaments and compete for non-pregnant males.
My name is Paige, and I did Why Sex. Why sex evolved is still one of the greatest mysteries because an individual that reproduces sexually will only give 50% of its genes to the following generation, compared to that of an individual that reproduces asexually and gives 100% of its genes. Parthenogenesis is when an egg develops without fertilization, so if females had a mutated gene to reproduce asexually or parthenogenetically, then males would disappear because asexually reproducing females would only produce females that also had the mutation, and so on. Males would no longer be needed for fertilization, and there would be no chance of producing a male offspring. The parthenogenetic gene would outcompete the gene for sexual reproduction. Scientists have deemed the twofold cost of sex being that asexual reproduction in each generation would be twice as many copies of itself than the sexual gene. So why hasn't the cost of sex led to its replacement by parthenogenesis? Well, sex might have a huge evolutionary advantage that outweighs its cost. There are many theories to this, but none are completely figured out. The key may lie in the random shuffling of genes that occurs during sexual reproduction, which produces new combinations of genes in offspring. Sex may bring together several favorable genes into one offspring. It might promote faster evolution to deal with aspects of the environment that are constantly changing, or it might also purge bad genes from a species by recombining them into one severely disadvantaged individual, also known as a genetic scapegoat. Biologists, however, still question whether any known advantage outweighs the twofold cost. There are theories behind both of these questions. Two sexes might be the most robust and stable strategy to reproduce, and different-sized gametes presumably evolved from that in earlier sexually reproducing species that had the same sized gametes. Theoreticians have shown rather convincingly that natural selection will favor changing ancestral state into which one sex makes lots of small gametes and other makes fewer larger gametes. For example, males produce lots of small sperm and females produce larger eggs. Asymmetry in the size of gametes sets the stage for all sexual selection. It causes the two sexes to evolve differently and evolve different mating strategies. Mating for males is cheap and it is expensive for females. The mating cost for males is a small dose of sperm or pollen, and the mating cost for females the production of large nutrient eggs, energy, and time. 90% of mammal species has the female or maternal parent providing all of the parental care. This leads to conflicting interests when it comes time to mate. Males must compete for the females. Males are promiscuous while females are coy. The variance is the mating success should be higher for males. The law of battle is the direct competition between males to leave their genes into the next generation. This is also why males have more colors, displays, or mating calls, or such as the elk in the top right corner have larger antlers and they fight for the female's interest. Female preference is what drives these longer tails, vigorous displays, and louder songs. Some species are monogamous, which is when both female and male provide the parental care. Evolution can favor monogamy if males can have more offspring by helping with childcare. However, this is only 2% of mammal species.
My name is Lily, and I will talk about why animals choose their mates and what exactly they look for when choosing. The idea of this led to a disagreement between Alfred Wallace and Charles Darwin. Wallace believed that the dull colors of females was for them to camouflage, and that males were just facing the consequences of their physiology with the bright colors and ornaments. On the other hand, Darwin's hypothesis was more reasonable, as he believed that female choices would lead to the evolution of male calls, colors, and ornaments. The females prefer an extreme expression of a male trait, and these preferences are persistent across time. That is why sexual selection is an evolutionary process, and it is dependent on an individual's phenotypic traits. Females prefer certain traits in males because they are linked with their access to benefits. They can benefit directly from their mate, where the female has an increase in fitness, which can be due to territory equality or more parental care. There are also indirect benefits that can increase the genetic fitness of the offspring due to high-quality genes. Taking a closer look at the direct benefits, we learn that females choose males who will provide them better advantages and resources to increase their fitness. In the case of most birds, those who hold better territories will be more likely to mate because of nesting success and better nourished offspring. This causes an intensity in male-to-male competition to who gets to reproduce and pass on their genes. Obviously, the preferred genes get to increase in frequency over time. Indirect benefits don't benefit the female, but it will benefit their offspring. In this case, the offspring inherit high-quality genes and even the preferred traits that will make them more attractive. That is why females will choose males who appear more healthy and fit to pass good genes down to the offspring. For example, if a male has more resistant genes, its offspring will be more disease-resistant, and this male will be more likely to be chosen. So how do females differentiate the males and determine who is more fit? Females know what features can determine whether a certain male is a good mate or not. Males with brighter colors, longer tails, or louder calls, for example, can show that they have better genes or are more healthy. In tests done by biologists, it has been proven that males that show traits and characteristics of better or preferred genes have better offspring. An example would be a test done by a group at the University of Missouri of gray tree frogs. The female frogs strongly preferred to mate with males who had longer calls, so they fertilized the eggs of the females in vitro with the sperm of and short-calling males. The results drastically showed that the females produced genetically superior offspring with the long-calling males, an example of indirect benefits. However, sexual dimorphisms can also be based on sensory bias. The pre-existing biases in a female's nervous system can drive their selection in males. For example, an artificial white-colored crest in Australian grass finches showed a strong preference by females compared to other colored crests because it can be associated with their act of covering their eggs with white feathers to camouflage them.